All right. Well, welcome everyone. We are just so excited for today's session. I'm Molly Heffernan, Director of Marketing for the Tory Burch Foundation, and this is our small business webinar series. Today, there are well over 300 of you on this session ready to learn. And I want to first start by thanking our sponsor, Campaign Monitor. They have helped make this entire series happen. They allow us to provide this webinar series totally for free so that we can continue to learn and grow together. Now, in all of our time working with entrepreneurs, one of the biggest stumbling blocks we see over and over again is design. We'll be exploring someone's social media page. It's so fun, it's engaging. And then I go to the website. Wow, all of that design, that brand identity is gone. But today we are all in luck because we have the very best here to help us. We have Brittany Wilson, and she is a brand strategist, founder and CEO of The Idea Girl, a Brooklyn-based creative agency that specializes in brand identity, marketing strategy, and digital design. She's worked with clients like Squarespace, Netflix, Instagram, Facebook, the heavy hitters. And her expertise has helped her land clients in major publications like Vogue, Elle, Forbes, the New York Times, and placement with big retailers that we all know, like Sephora, Nordstrom, Urban Outfitters, and West Elm. So we truly couldn't be in better hands. And Brittany is going to teach us all some simple graphic design concepts that will allow all of you to establish consistent identity from your social media to your website that converts followers to customers. After Brittany's presentation, we will have plenty of time for Q&A. So during this session, as the questions come in, put them in the Q&A box. Now we have the chat box. This is build community, drop in some love and support to each other, but questions, let's put them in the Q&A box because we don't want to miss anything. So enough of me. I think with that, over to Brittany so that we can learn everything we can today.
Am I here? Hi, everybody. Let me see. Can everyone hear me? We can hear you. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for attending. I am so excited to be teaching this lesson today. Where is everyone from? I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I talk about it all the time. Where are you guys from? Germany? Okay, Brooklyn. Okay, Harlem. Yes, I love the fact that all of my Brooklyn people are here. Yes. Trinidad, Delaware, India. Oh my God, this is amazing. Okay, so I hope everyone is hyped because I am hyped right now. And pretty much as Molly had said earlier today, we are going to take you on a journey on how to create consistency with your brand identity from your social media to your website. So let's get started, everyone. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to take you through my presentation. If you've been to any of my classes before, you already know I'm all about the fun and games. So we are going to learn today how to use simple branding and graphic design concepts in order for us to establish a consistent visual identity for your socials to your website in order to do what? Convert followers into customers. I always say followers do not equal dollars. However, you can convert people from just being a follower into being a customer. And you can do that through social media. So just a little bit about myself. I'm a multidisciplinary creative, meaning that my background is just composed of many different skill sets. I have a background in fashion design, fashion marketing, and merchandising, graphic design, you name it, I've done it, illustration, fashion illustration. And I am one of those people who at one point in time in my life, people used to say that you are a Jane of or a jack of all trades, a master of none. But let me tell you something, in order for you to become a master of one, you need to try a bunch of different trades in order for you to figure out which one sticks and which one works best for you. That just so happens to be branding, which is an umbrella of things. And we'll get into that during the lesson. So I'm the founder of the Idea Girls I mentioned before, and we're a branding agency with an intuitive approach to launching business concepts into a human first world. We launch everything from startups to products and platforms where the heart, mind, and soul reside. And we specialize in working with brands within wellness, beauty, fashion, and lifestyle to help companies take their business ideas and actually turn them into a die-hard household brand. In addition to that, we also have a community. It was formerly known as the Idea Girl Gang, but I did a little rebrand myself. Surprise, surprise. And we now have rebranded as the network, which is going to be a platform that has everything from business tools to design resources in order for you to build the business of your dreams and look good while doing it too. So let's get into this. For one, do you know of a brand with a gorgeous Instagram feed, but the website still looks suspect? In case you don't know what that means, I'm super New York, so of course I'm gonna say sus. Now, if you know this person, we're not gonna point them out because we don't want to embarrass them. But if this is you, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna try to fix that up so that way people aren't as shocked when they leave your feed and they see that it's so gorgeous. And then all of a sudden they get to your website and it's like, what happened? So we are going to get your socials and site brand ready to convert followers into customers. Your customers before your branding are confused. They don't know what the hell it is you're selling. They also might try to figure out, why is this person, are they Amazon? They're selling hair extensions, and then they're selling tasers, and then they're selling sage and incense. I mean, I can't tell. That is all a part of your brand's identity and the way in which you are represented in order to showcase yourself, your products to the world and share your gifts. After branding, your customers are going to love you. And not only that, they're going to want to become a part of what you're building from here on out. So what we're going to get into first is we're going to understand the difference between brand versus brand identity, because there is a difference between both of these terms. A brand, it's really simple. People think it's a logo, but it's actually not. It's an individual's perception of a product, service, experience, and company. It's the first thing that people think of when they think of a term. For example, when people go to make copies, at one point in time, everyone would say, I need to make a Xerox. Xerox is a company. How did a company now be able to replace in a verb of something that you're doing, right? That is what a brand does. Now, what goes into a brand? There's three major components. First, it's going to be your story. That's going to be the thing that inspired you to do this in the first place. What is your background? If you created a skincare brand, what things did you go through in order for you to get to this point, in order for you to decide your why, which is the problem that you want to solve? Your problem that you want to solve if you have a skincare brand is maybe something like eczema, maybe something like acne or oily skin. Whichever it is, you're now going to take that and you're going to turn that into a business idea. But first, you have to see that there's a problem that exists. Good brands solve problems. Now, let's go into a brand identity. A brand identity is a little different, but what this is a collective of all company elements and emotions conceptualized to exude the brand's ethos, voice, and lastly, visual appearance. So there's a lot of things that are included in a brand identity. There's things like messaging, which is things like your vision, your mission. What terms and jargon are you using in order to communicate with your audience? Is your audience using words like lit? Is your audience using terms like, I know that's right? If so, you need to make sure that's included in your messaging. The last thing you want to do is include messaging that is not a part of your target audience. I don't want to throw any shade of any brands or anything, but there's a certain brand that sometimes when I get emails from and I see them use terms like hot girl summer, I'm like, who gave you permission to do that? And as a consumer, that makes me feel that I can't trust the brand, and everything is based on authenticity, right? Next, we got voice and tone. How does your brand sound? What is the voice? Is your brand empowering? Is it invigorating? Is it firm? Is it concise? Then we have art direction. Art direction, of course, is the visual aesthetic of your brand that is going to be the source or the foundation for your brand's overall appearance and the way it's going to sound and the way it's going to feel in order for you to create that multi-sensory 360 brand experience. Then we have things like your logos, which is used to identify yourself. Then we have typography, which are everything from typefaces to fonts. We'll get into that as well. And icons and patterns. Next, your brand identity. It must be applied to all of your content, your imagery, and most importantly, to your social media accounts and website. And that's on what? Mary Had a Little Lamb. Having a consistent brand identity across your products, services, messaging, customer experience, social media channels, and website creates cohesiveness and garners trust with your online community. Don't ever forget this. Buying decisions are all psychological. If you can make someone believe that they need what you have in order for them to retrieve a certain result out of it, that's good branding. Not only that, you want to make sure that everything from your captions to even your presentation of what it is that you're selling, you want to make sure that is cohesive. So the last thing anyone's going to do is buy from a brand that they don't trust. And what we want to earn is consumer loyalty. When you go to CVS, you go to Walmart, you go to Walgreens, you go to all these places, notice that we collect points. These are companies, we don't even realize it, that we're loyal customers. At one point in time, I used to work at Bloomingdale's a long time ago, years ago. And I'm still young, just to let you guys know. And I worked at Bloomingdale's and I got an employee discount. But I loved buying my perfume and cosmetics from Sephora because my points added up. So I was that loyal that I wouldn't even take a discount, but I would take points. For what? It's all psychological. And I loved the value that I got or the way that it made me feel whenever I shopped at a specialty store like Sephora. Trust helps you, and I'm sorry, a brand identity. Sad to say this, great design is going to create trust. It's one of the most important investments that you can make as a business owner. And if you can't invest in it, do it yourself. Trust helps build a relationship. A customer loyalty that not only establishes brand awareness, but helps you reach your customers in a way that can possibly sway them into choosing you over them. And them in quotations, my friends, means your competition. Let's get started. But first things first, you should already have a brand strategy. And what I mean by a brand strategy is that we should know what we're doing before you even think about what your logo should look like, what your colors should look like. You actually should build the foundation that entails your entire roadmap of your brand's trajectory and goals for the long run, resulting in being easily identified. Your brand strategy should include the promise that you keep to your customers, the mission, the emotion, the vision, the values, the purpose, competitive advantage, in addition to your target audience profiles, demographics, and psychographics. You need to know exactly who you're talking to. You need to know what they like, their preferences, but most of all, who are you as a brand? Figure out what it is that you like. And most of all, figure out what your purpose is and what you are here to do and who you are here to serve. Brand voice and messaging. Your brand messaging and voice helps your customers understand you are here for them. Now, let's think of maybe, I think it's a penguin, if I'm not mistaken. Out of all the penguins, a baby penguin can literally have their mom find them by their voice. How amazing is that? How can a penguin, in a midst of hundreds of other penguins, be able to locate their mom just by screaming? That is the same exact thing. Your brand messaging and voice helps your customers understand that you are here for them. Brand messaging is everything from your slogans, just like Nike, for example, they say, just do it, to taglines, Burger King, have it your way, to even your campaign copy. Through your brand messaging, your audience should automatically be able to tell who you are and what you're here for. You want to make sure that you're applying this messaging from everywhere, from your social media bios and all throughout your website. Through your social media bio, someone should be able to tell exactly what it is that you sell and what you're here to do and who you're here to serve. Your social media captions and responses should also be in alignment of your brand's personality, voice, and tone. Example, the Idea Girls brand personality is very fun and inspiring, but our voice is empowering. Yet our tone is quip and punchy. So it's very fun and funky. So you always want to think about your brand's personality. So go through a list of adjectives and help yourself figure out exactly how do you want your brand to come across to people. But also remember that your brand is not really what you say it is. It's actually what your audience says it is. So branding and having a brand identity allows you to see what your customers are actually responding to and what their preferences are. In addition to that, we also on the Idea Girl, if you go to our site, we have a free brand statement guide that can help you build a bio that's quicker than an elevator pitch for both personal, service-based, and product-based brands. So make sure you head to our website, or you can go to our social media profile on Instagram. If you click on that link in our bio, it will take you to a list of links. And if you just scroll down a bit, you can find the link to our free brand statement guide. Your logo identity. So this one's a little tricky, but I want to clear a couple of points. Your logo helps your customer identify you. Think of it as your first impression. How would you want to be remembered? Your logo should be crisp, clear, and legible. Having multiple logo lockups that vary in size can help you with your visibility, even in compact spaces like an Instagram profile picture. So this is an example right here to the left. Louis Vuitton, for example. Louis Vuitton has a completely different logo on their website versus the logo that is located in their social media bio. Reason why is because of sizing. So that LV, funny enough, I have on the earrings too. That LV is a submark. And if people see the submark, it helps them understand that what they've just seen is by Louis Vuitton. It's been made into a pattern to the point where this step and repeat pattern has become a part of products, has become a part of closets. And anytime someone sees it, they automatically know that it's Louis Vuitton. Try using smaller logo lockups such as monograms, anagrams, and logos that either include a memorable brand emblem or a symbol. For example, the Target logo is actually a bullseye, and it graces most of their packaging, from patterns to their bags, to their tape, to their actual cards. Everything has that pattern on it. So when you see a bullseye, no matter where you go, you're always going to think about Target. You also want to stay away. If anyone knows me, if you've taken any of my courses before, I am not the biggest fan of script fonts just because it is not as easy to read. I grew up during the 90s as to where we all learned cursive. We no longer teach cursives in schools anymore. So what happens if, you're hanging up your store sign one day and someone drives by and they want to stop by your store, but they can't because they have to go. But guess what? In that 2.5 seconds that they were waiting at the traffic light, they couldn't figure out what your brand name was. So they ended up driving off. So you want to make sure that you use your primary logo. If it has a few letters, only if it has a few letters, meaning no more than 5. That is the only time I would use my entire logo inside of my social media profile picture. And I would use, again, the primary just on the site to keep that sense of cohesiveness. Even though it's not the same logo, it comes from the same logo suite. So whenever you create a logo, maybe create 3 different options for yourself just based on sizing, but also make sure that it has the same type, the same font, and that it all looks visually consistent. Color palette. Keep your colors consistent to keep emotions in check. Based on your brand's personality, choose colors that are tied to that emotion. Each color stimulates our limbic system and create feelings you want your customer to experience each and every time they engage with you. Use tools like the Pantone Color Finder or convertingcolors.com to find exact color values to apply to your site and socials for consistency. Each color is associated with an emotion, and the way our bodies read color, or actually our brains, it responds to waves and certain frequencies. So sometimes when they say that if you want to make someone hungry, for example, or you want to induce hunger, you paint your dining room or your kitchen blue, or you use blue plates, because our bodies respond to that. The red is the color of power. Meanwhile, orange is more of incitement. Remember back in the days when we were a kid and Nickelodeon, what color was it? Orange. Happiness is yellow. Green is for generosity, lushness, and growth. Blue is for peace and calm. Also communication. Think about all the apps that use the color blue, and they're all communication-based apps. Hello, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Pink is for feelings of love and romance. Meanwhile, purple is a color of wisdom, mysticism, and higher knowledge and power. The color white is for peace and minimalism. Meanwhile, the color of black is demanding of elegance, excellence, and also power. Next, type layout. And I'm using this term in particular, specifically for social media and websites. Your type defines your type and communicates your vibe to attract your tribe. A typeface is a complete set of characters within the same design, okay? So your font itself is a collection of graphic text in a specific style, size, or condensation level. So example, Times New Roman is a typeface, or Helvetica is a typeface, but Times New Roman bold or italic or at 32 sizing is a font. So that's the main difference. Fonts can easily communicate and evoke emotions through digital, print, and packaging. While serif fonts like Times New Roman are deemed timeless and traditional, Helvetica is modern and legible on digital software. Ensure your fonts are consistent across social and web by purchasing font licensing for both your desktop and font. I've seen so many times where on social media, a font, the fonts that are used in the templates and all of the content is completely different from the website. But I've realized this because people might not know this, but you actually have to purchase font licensing for your website. So the next time you are going to get a font, you're going to download a font, please be responsible and choose resources that are not free unless they're platforms like Google Fonts or Adobe Typekit. Creative Market is a marketplace for artists all over the globe, and they have amazing font options at affordable pricing. You want to make sure that in addition to purchasing the desktop version of the font, you're also getting the web version. That web version, I believe, is going to be ending. The file type is a WFF file and a WOFF2 file. Those files may need to be uploaded on the back end of your computer, but I kid you not, you can go on a place like Upwork or Fiverr and find a developer to go on the back end of your site and add those custom fonts for you, custom fonts for you. I'm tongue-tied. Add those fonts to you on your website for you at a really decent rate, even if you can't do it yourself. So if you can't do it, hire someone who can. That is my motto. The next thing you want to do is create a tie hierarchy and assign headings with appropriate sizing and assignments. You know, when you go on Shopify and you see that thing that says heading number 1, heading number 2, heading number 3, that is your type hierarchy. Heading number 1 is typically used for headlines and announcements. Meanwhile, heading number 2 is more for editorial purposes. Think of a magazine and even browse through a magazine from back in the day. You always see that there is a juxtaposition or a difference between the font that is used for the main article versus the article title versus maybe a subtitle about each paragraph, right? And lastly, content and imagery. And this is the place where it all matters most. Compelling content converts, and that's just facts. As us New Yorkers love to say it, facts. Focus on content strategy to serve as the visual communication points of your sales initiatives. Then use them as marketing materials for social media to drive people to your website. So a lot of the time I see people go and say, oh my God, I need a social media strategy, blah, 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 blah. I'm gonna tell you right now, yes, A social media strategy is super important, but you know what's even more important? A content strategy. How are you going to get a social media strategy together when you don't have content? Create your content first, then figure out how you can now use it as marketing materials for your deliverables to get your message across on social media. So also remember the big difference between marketing and branding. Branding is the why versus marketing is the how. Once you've established the foundation and the why and the purpose, you then market and figure out how. You figure out the how to get this message out there in front of the right people to get them to purchase or to book with you, so on and so forth. If you have a service or personal-based brand, focus on sharing tips, reviews, images of yourself and your team. If you have a product, your imagery should capture your brand's aesthetic and essence in addition to those product pictures. Make sure you're switching up the content on your feed by sharing tips, tricks, reviews, and facts surrounding the topics and interests your brand is passionate about. If I own a skincare line and my skincare line is clean, it is organic, and it is skin friendly, I'm going to make sure that the content that I'm creating is in alignment with that. So if I'm concerned about cleanliness and veganism and so on and so forth, it's likely that my lifestyle reflects that. So now you want to basically create a universe for your customers, right? You want to create a lifestyle for them. And you want to think about, if this person is interested in this, maybe they're interested in yoga, maybe they're interested in wellness, maybe they're interested in this. Go through and create some content buckets for yourself and some categories. So that way your content that you're producing is in alignment with the lifestyle of the person who is your target customer. You want to grow with them and glow with them. Lastly, shoot with a professional photographer. Now, if you do not have the budget, that's totally fine. You can use resources like Suna to produce fast and beautiful content. You can even use your iPhone. By all means, please be sure to use imagery that creates a sense of trust. I've seen times when people have even used pictures from other sellers' websites, from fast fashion stores. And it's made me look and say, hey, I know this says a size small, but this is looking like a size extra small on the model. Is this going to fit me? And remember, we're making D2C transactions or B2B transactions, and a lot of them are digital. So we need people to trust us. People can't walk into the store or your store and pick it up and figure out if it works for them. You want to have the person believe they need what it is that you're selling. Also, in addition to that, show them your product and your service in real life. Show them, also UGC is super important. I'm just throwing out tips there now. User-generated content, using content from people in your community that are using your product or your service and showing the results that they've gotten from using it. And that is about it. These are a bunch of tips that you can have to ensure that no matter what, that transition from your social media site to your website is all streamlined and it's all in alignment with your brand's overall mission, your brand's why, your purpose, and your vision. So in the instance you don't follow me already, please be sure to do so. If you like a good time, fashion, style tips, follow my personal account at She's That Brit. For work, inspiration, and projects, be sure to follow our agency at theideagirl.co. And for community building, be sure, and courses, business education, be sure to follow us at thenetwork.co. We are going to be launching pretty soon, and you don't want to miss that. Thank you so much, everyone. I will be taking questions now one by one and helping everyone out.
Thank you so much, Brittany. I mean, I am just floored. So much amazing information. And before we go into questions, need to give a shout out because you talked about Suna, and Suna's founder, Liz, is one of our Tory Burch fellows. She graduated from our programs, is an incredible member of our community. So if you're looking for that photography for your products, you can also be working with another women-owned business. So we love bringing worlds together like that.
Also, yes.
It's amazing. So I want to start, Brittany, by taking like a big step back for everyone. So we are equipped with all this amazing knowledge from today. What for the designer, maybe the entrepreneur who isn't used to even like talking about anything creative in this way. Like I started my company just because I knew how to build this thing. What should the first thing they do be? Like, is it that you have to hire some mega agency? Do you need to get scrappy? Do you have to learn how to do it yourself? Like, what do you recommend people think about doing next?
I would always recommend for people to actually think about how much you want to invest. What are you willing to invest? And I think sometimes we're so focused on what the price tag of something looks like right now that we actually end up wasting a lot more money by not spending any money. So this is not saying that you need $1,000 up front in your pocket in order to make things happen to you. Sometimes you have to get resourceful and work with what you have in order to get to where you need to be. Many of the clients that I've worked with before in the past have had to DIY their brand using resources such as Canva, Adobe Illustrator. You can even go on Creative Market and find pre-made logos for yourself. However, investing in design and investing in a custom brand experiences helps elevate your chances of being able to be recognized or easily recognizable by your audience in your competitive space. So design, I personally feel like is an investment, but for that entrepreneur that is just starting out, follow some brands and some companies that you admire. Look at the way they interact with their audience and look at the way that their audience interacts with them. Look at what they respond to. To be quite honest with you guys, I'm a self-taught designer. So I didn't even go to school for any of this. I am literally YouTube University. I took free classes everywhere from General Assembly to who knows, but I was so determined to get to where I need to be that I didn't let that stop me. When you want something so bad, it does not matter how the heck you're going to get there. You're going to make sure it happens. And if it doesn't happen, it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't your door that was meant to open. I don't believe in kicking doors down, but sometimes you just have to wait for the right door to open for you. But I say is this, get resourceful. If you do not have the time and the energy to learn Photoshop or learn Canva and you can't do these things, that's totally fine. See who might even be working next to you that can assist you with these things. If you graduated from college, maybe there's a way that you can contact the art department or anyone, the marketing department perhaps. And maybe you can get a student, maybe work with someone who's an intern possibly who can help create this work for you. Or you can use online resources like places like Upwork, places like Fiverr. Now, again, when it comes to a customized experience and you want to get on the shelf, I will definitely say there is going to have to be a time where you do invest in design because each store has different qualifications and you want to make sure that you're investing in something that is timeless. The last thing you want to do is want to be changing your logo every single year or every 3 months there's a new trend. No, when's the last time Louis Vuitton changed their logo? When's the last time Gucci changed their logo? When's the last time Facebook's changed their logo? In order to maintain a sense of brand consistency, things have to look the same in order for people to remember you. I hope that answered the question.
It definitely does. And I love it, that you've been self-taught. And for folks who maybe aren't ready to self-teach, I love the like know enough to be dangerous, or the idea of, you know, if you're going to the mechanic, know enough to be able to have that conversation. So,
exactly.
Yeah, before you hire anybody, make sure you kind of know the basics, get the terms down so that you can have real conversations. Another great question came in, and I think that it really kind of lends itself well to what you were saying about, you know, use the resources that are out there. So many businesses are building on Shopify, Squarespace, kind of these templated sites. What is your advice on standing out when you're using a template that you might have seen across many other websites? How do you kind of make it feel like yours, even though it's a little bit out of the box?
So this is actually going to be, this is pretty much the whole entire point of this presentation of brand identity. So when it comes to things like websites, there's been so many times you can reinvent the wheel when it comes to a content block layout, right? There's been so many times you can have a review section look a certain way. There's a certain amount of times that you can have photos side by each other look a certain way. And honestly, having a template is a good foundation to give you an understanding as to how content should be laid out. Now, when it comes to making it custom and making it feel like a more personalized experience, go on some big company sites If you've noticed, a lot of them look like really basic templates, but what they focus on and what they invest in is the content. So actually focus on the images in themselves and the content that's being provided. And then I will always say, like, if you're just starting out, do your own website. I always recommend people, even people who work with me in the beginning, I say, listen, if website is not in the investment right now, I would rather do your brand identity, and then you could pop in everything else on the website. Because once you have your brand identity, you can plug your colors into your site. You can plug in your custom typography layout in your site. And all of those things are going to help you stand out and against your competitors in your category.
Mhm. Denise is asking a great question. If you are bringing in, whether it's an agency or even just a freelance designer or somebody on Fiverr, what needs to go in that brief to them? How do you create guardrails as the founder of your company in order to get the end result that you need? Like, what are the basics of the brief?
The basics of the brief, for one, you always need to know your brand. That is the one most important thing. There's been times where I've, done consultations. There's been times where I meet people and they can't tell me what they sell in less than 15 seconds. And that's a problem. So it's really important that you actually nail down your brand strategy. Again, it's things like your trajectory of your company. It's things like your mission statement, things like your vision. So you need to know your company and its culture in order to bring someone else on, in order for them to understand your company and your culture. So when you're now passing on a brief to a designer, you want to be able to, for one, the designers, you want to make sure you're going with a brand designer and not a graphic designer. There's a difference between them both. A graphic designer is someone who can compose anything, versus a brand designer is going to design from a point of strategy. So they're, for example, the Target logo, they could have used anything, but they chose a bullseye. Hello, on target, on point, bullseye. So that is the difference between someone who's a brand designer versus someone who is just a graphic designer. A part of that brief, you might want to think about things like budget. Again, when you are cheap with yourself, you are telling the universe that you do not deserve more. I used to play small just like that and be like, oh my God, I didn't have this, I didn't have that. I'm paying for one of my favorite designers in the world to do a huge project for me, for myself, for a personal brand. And even though it's a lot of money, it's 5 zeros, I said to myself, oh my God, I can't believe I'm really about to invest in myself. Oh my God, that is one of the greatest acts of self-love you can ever commit for yourself. Who is going to invest in you the way that you're going to invest in you? So treat your brand like a baby. And remember, this is like you're giving birth. Right? This is like when you're giving birth, you want mom to be peaceful. She should be calm. She should be happy. She should be joyous. That is how you deliver a healthy baby. But when you're delivering a baby in complete chaos, don't be surprised if your baby is crying for the first 3 months of their lives. Right? Yep. So we want to make sure that we're birthing something that is super intentional. It has to be super intentional. And I always tell people your why. And again, if you ever take one of my classes, I always have the saying, if your why does not make you cry, your business cannot survive. I created the Idea Girl because I hated hate is a strong word. I'm a Black woman living in America, and my experience as being Black in America is not a monolith, and it's not exclusive to me. There's so many other Black women. I mean, I grew up in the projects, you feel me? So I have a very different background from some people, right? I've been able to take my story and I've been able to help utilize that to fuel my fire. I didn't like the fact that Black people went through what they went through, what we went through, what my ancestors went through. I hated it. So I said, oh my God, what can I do? I created the Idea Girl. And I knew that the only way for my community to grow is through economic growth. And in order to do that, we need businesses. My why is so strong, it can make me cry. When I think about my childhood, when I think about my friend's childhood, when I think about the things that the people before me have been through, that makes me break down and cry. And that is what gets me up every single day. That's what makes me stay up at night. And it's the thing that makes me feel complete. When I was 25 years old, I couldn't figure out what the hell I wanted to do with my life. And then one day I said, you know what? this is what I'm going to do. And it actually made me look towards every single day. You need something to work towards. You need something that lights you on fire, that says, you know what, I'm going to fight for this cause because we need that. I hope I answered the question. I know sometimes I could be all over the place.
No, I mean, you definitely did. And at the end of the day, customers see through something that isn't real, something that isn't from a place of true emotion. And you can't pull the wool over people's eyes. Those days are over. That kind of era of business is done. And I think that's important for everyone on here. Over and over again, we hear that women are founding companies rooted in real sense of purpose, real sense of wanting to create a better world for us to all exist in. And you have to be truthful with your customers. Now, a great question has come in, because I think we heard a little bit about this in the questions folks submitted before the session. So I'm tempted. Instagram rolls out new things all the time. There's reels, should I be on TikTok? What should I do? And how do I know if the content I'm creating for social is authentic to my brand? And how can you keep it authentic while also kind of playing the game with the social media platform?
First thing I would say is figure out who your customer is. For one, figure out who your customer is and figure out how they communicate. The last thing you want to do is be in places where your customer is not. Now, I could be on TikTok, rightfully well, pointing and doing the tips, and, I could be doing it. But guess what? Where I am in my business, I don't necessarily prefer to do that, because I prefer to be a bit more intentional about what I put out. And I'm also a little shy, even though I'm so energetic. I love my energy. I love y'all energies too. Thank you. I'm also very shy. It's so funny. I guess that, I'm like half fire, half water sign. So it's like a little Cancer in me that's like, oh, timid. But then the Leo's like, rah, hear me roar,
So,
So,
so it's your season right now, right?
It's my so it was Cancer season, but I have 4 Leo placements: Mars, Venus, and Jupiter and rising. So that's why you might be getting the
I'm vibing off of your Leo.
You love it. They're like, a Cancer Leo is like the most dramatic person on earth. And I'm like, it is me. It is me. Oh yes, Jessica Jade is a Cancer Leo too. Yes.
Drop your sign in the chat.
But overall, what you want to do is just, for one, don't feel pressured to do what everybody else is doing. You don't have to do that, because just because someone's doing that, it doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. You have to figure out what works for you, but you have to figure it out, and you have to actually try things out. Give yourself time to test things. Actually see what happens when I make reels continuously for a month. See what happens when I make my captions like this continuously for a week. See what happens when I make a post 2 times a day, 8 hours in between each time I do it. You cannot go based on what only worked for someone else. You have to see what works for you. This is not saying for you to reinvent the wheel, or that you can't take advice from other people that are professionals, that are tried and proven, but you have to see, every brand is custom. Even as being a human being, not even a twin has the same fingerprint. So how are you going to follow someone else's blueprint to success? You've never done this before, so you have to do what works best for you. And that's how you become a household brand, because you're following your own path. And 9 times out of 10, what you want to do hasn't been done before. And we think that it is, so we follow these brands. And I used to think all the time, oh my God, I want to be just like this agency. I want to be just like this. And I'm like, you know what? I want to be just like me. What does that look like? Being just like me. What does that look like? I'm not sure, right? But this is all to say, yes, try things out, try reels, try videos, because yes, we are moving into a more video based platform, because it works for a lot of different people. But this also gives you an opportunity to get super creative. I know people who use reels, and they have a influencer marketing program, so they have girls that are using the reels for them. If it's a product, maybe you should show how the product is being used. Maybe you can make a reel based on a review or something like that. Maybe you can make a reel based on your work, taking someone all throughout your portfolio. So you show the features, the benefits, the advantages, and the results of what it is that you're able to provide. And you can utilize any form of content creation in order for you to get your point across, whether it is an Instagram template that is a carousel breaking down a specific term, or whether or not it's a video. It just all depends. I hope that answered the question.
It does. And I saw a couple follow-up questions. So one came in from Michaela, and I think you've sort of answered it, but I will ask it because we do hear it. Should I mirror my content across all platforms, or does it have to be unique to each?
So, and this is what I was mentioning before. Create a content strategy. When you create your content strategy, you'll be able to break down and figure out exactly what content should be on what platform. So we basically have two different types of content, right? So we got the video content and then we got the photo content. Based on that alone, you're already going to know which platforms you need to be on. So, video, that's going to be great for stories, but you can also post it on the feed. But then when you're creating content, think about all of the channels it makes most sense for you to be posting on and where your customer might be. Right? So if I have a clothing brand, an amazing place to be is Pinterest, because people are always shopping by images. So think about what the content is, and then think about, okay, what platform makes most sense. So if you know that Pinterest is a more visual kind of platform for communication and social media, put your pictures there of the outfits to get people back to your website. If you do like courses or something like that, right? You teach courses and you have like a video or something explaining your class and what it's about. That's an opportunity to go on Reels, but then that content can also be doubled and repurposed for social media. Not social media, Facebook. I'm all about repurposing content. So when I make a post and I'm like, oh, this fits on my Instagram grid, I'm like, oh, this could go on LinkedIn too, because it's the same size. Or I'm like, oh, this could go on Facebook stories because it's the same size. Or this could go on Twitter because it's the same size. And that is how I then filter it out. But then you also have to think about what makes more sense for each platform. But again, you want to be where your customers are. So if your customers are all on TikTok and your competitor is on TikTok, then you need to be on TikTok too. I'm sorry. It sucks, but you got to be everywhere where your competition is. But most importantly, you got to be where your customer is, because again, it's what they say it is, not what you say it is. So you want to show up wherever your customer is. You want to pop up wherever they are. Sometimes, like, I shop on like Forward, and I'm like, what, they're stalking me. Like, they're stalking me at this. Every blog I go on, I'm seeing the shoes that I don't really want to buy today because I'm waiting on my paycheck, Right. And it's in your face. It's in my face. It's in my face. But that's because of where I am. Mm-hmm. So you can do ads. There's so many places in so many ways that you can show up in front of your customers, but you want to show up in front of your customers, not just anybody. Do you want just anybody to be a part of your brand? No, it's a club. Remember, it's an inclusive, exclusive club. That's what it is.
Now I want to get a little tactical into design. So you brought up photos, and it's not as simple as point and shoot. So what do you recommend people think about when they're developing a photography look and feel? How to talk about that?
I will always recommend to start off with a mood board. Always start off with a mood board when it comes to the visual elements of how you want things to look and feel. So when I do photo shoots, I always, for one, I come up with like a quick brief on this photo shoot is going to showcase the hairstyles that I have in my client salon. And then from there, I start looking at things like interiors, fabric, texture, hairstyles, different prop setups, things that emulate my vision that I've seen in my head, right? Then from there, I go ahead and I try to figure out, who do I need in order for me to make this vision a reality, right? I might need a makeup artist. I might need a stylist. I might need all of these different people. But now when it comes to shooting, you may or might not have the budget for a photographer, which, by the way, eats up everyone's budget. So when a client tells me they got a photographer, I'm like, girl, I'm so happy for you. I'm happy that you know someone that can help you out. Because that right there, when people know their worth, listen, that's what I'm saying. Don't get your feelings hurt when you're like, only got $500 and you want Vogue looking pictures and they tell you 10K. Yep. You want Vogue, you got to pay for Vogue. and if the person is not charging Vogue prices, it's only going to be a matter of time that they meet someone and says, I'm not charging my worth and my value.
Yep.
So in the meantime, now, when it comes to taking your own pictures, things that you want to do is you want to look at things like layout and composition. Can I see this? Can the consumer see this? Is the lighting good? Even maybe taking just really basic levels of like, maybe even I would suggest like color composition classes, things like highlights and shadows, like all those things can be covered. And I think I'm totally fine with like iPhone shooting. Do what you have to do. But I will say this. For campaigns, think about a billboard. Think about an ad. Think about what people need to see in order for them to be enticed enough to make a transaction. So I'm not necessarily saying you have to spend, give away a kidney and pay for photography. You do not. But it is something that can make someone either hit checkout or click out of the browser. There's been times where I remember there was a site and it was a resale site, and they would only post a picture of what the shoes looked like when they were new. And I'm like, I'm not even going to waste my time here because I can't see what the shoes look like beat up. But I go on the real and I'm like, oh, I trust this. They're showing all the scuffs, all the marks. Pictures help people with their buying decisions. So think of it that way. Think of everything that you're doing is literally like your way of persuasion to get people to buy from you. Because again, people have to trust what they buy. They have to rely on you. They have to rely on that result. They have to know that they can get that result. And guess what? It's also free marketing for you, right? When people can see that, wow, this business looks professional. Or whenever I see packaging that looks amazing, guess what I'm doing? Buying. I buy so much makeup and stuff. Also, by the way, if you're buying anything to test it out, you can write it off on your taxes as research and development, R&D. So I have a lot of makeup, a lot of skincare, and I literally just keep boxes all the time because I'm always like, oh my God, this is so gorgeous. This is so beautiful. How many, and I'm going to ask this question. I want you guys to put it in the chat. If you have an Apple MacBook, laptop, or iPhone, how many of you guys still have the box? Please answer. I want to test this out. How many of you guys still have the box to your iPhone?
Everybody. I think I have the box to iPhones that I don't even have.
Exactly. This is going crazy right now. The fact that everyone is responding, we have the box for every phone. It's a beautiful box. That is branding, guys. That is branding. How did the company, you're using the phone, you're not using the box. Why is it still in your house? That, my friends, is great branding, and that's great lifestyle branding. Anyway, back to what we were saying about pictures. Remember, you don't think of this as, oh my God, this is a business. This is not your business. This is your lifeline. This is you. This is an extension of who you are. Invest in yourself. And what I mean by invest in yourself, I'm not even talking about money. I'm talking about take the time out to read. Take the time out to figure out who are the people that are in your industry that you need to know. Take the time to work out and exercise and actually breathe and take a breather. I can't even tell you how stressed out I was as a business owner time ago. Oh my gosh. I will talk about that. I'm talking, I got sick, had stomach issues, stress, anxiety. Oh God, let me tell you, stress and anxiety, your stomach is your first brain. The moment you start freaking out, your brain starts freaking out, you're going to screw your whole self up. So definitely make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And the more you take care of yourself, the more you open up for the universe to take care of you and pour into you as well. So don't ever see it as, oh my God, I only have $500 to pay this photographer. Say, thank you. I have $500 to be able to pay someone to help me take my brand to the next level. I have $500 that I'm able to invest in myself, and keep the big picture in mind, guys, all the time. Just because you don't see things picking up, like granted, Molly told you guys that I worked with Squarespace and Netflix and all these people. I was shocked as hell when they reached out to me too last year. But I'm going to tell you what, I kept working and I kept my head down. And I said, you know what? I'm not doing this for anyone but myself. I'm doing this for my future generation. I'm doing this for my kids. I'm doing this to change my life. I'm not doing this for recognition. We all get into those moments of imposter syndrome and we think that we need to be like the next person, when really and truly we just need to be more of ourselves. So call it in, call it in for you, believe that you deserve it. You can affirm all you want, but if you don't believe that you deserve something, and that's everything. I'm talking about romantic, great relationships, great friendships, great health, a great thriving business. You have to believe that you deserve that in order for you to even attract that in the first place.
And everything you're saying, so true. Anyone who's on here, if a lot of folks tune in every week, we did a entire take a break, pause, self-care webinar where all we did was mindfulness practice for 45 minutes. It is on YouTube. If you all want to refresh and reset, I know that that's what I want to do after hearing you, Brittany, is just take it all in. Now we're almost done. Do I have time to ask you one more question?
You have time to ask me.
All right. I'm going to ask you one more question and then we will wrap up. So somebody's written in, I'm nervous. I'm trying to create a compelling look for my brand that can evolve over time as I need it to. I'm worried about building something that has continuity. And so I want some advice there, because what we have seen over the years is people chase, like millennial pink was super in back in like 2017, 2018. Then there's a new hot color and a new like, oh, we only use serifs. We only use this. We only use that. How can these entrepreneurs focus on building something that is them and timeless and has the ability to build?
Don't spend too much time picking your brand apart. Don't spend much time. Yes, you want to know your competitors, but don't literally be like, oh my God, Glossier has a G that curves to the side, so I need a G that curves to the side. Right? That's the mindset that we think we have sometimes. So when it comes, every brand rebrands, right? So there is no way that you're going to be able to just keep your brand identity for the next 20, 30 years. Every brand changes. Why? Because your audience changes. Your audience changes. So you're going to have to go along with them. If you can, look into the consumer life cycle and understand the consumer life cycle a bit to see exactly how a customer cycles through your business. Now, your customer, I might like a brand at 20 years old, but what if that brand wants to grow with me? Are you going to still keep the same look that attracted 20-year-olds, or are you going to grow with your audience and do something that 30-year-olds might like, right? Change is inevitable, and you have to maintain a sense of agility wherever you are. You're always going to have to change. The only thing that is ever promised is things are never going to be constant. And you have to understand that ebbing and flowing, that's just a natural part of life. Fear is all part of it. So you can be fearful of, oh my God, I'm scared that I'm not going to have this look, a couple of years and whatnot. Fear is just going to keep you in that place, but you'll never know until you just try it. Just go out there and just put your brand identity out there. Even if you don't have it figured out right now, maybe work with a professional if you can, if you have it in your budget. And if not, guess what? I know so many people who DIY their brands. In the moment they get some grant money, they come right to me. I've seen it so many times. Work smarter and not harder. If you don't have the money right now to get your brand together, do something that is decent, something that is simple that people can understand and get, something that is in alignment with other similar brands until you can get that money. But you have to call that money in. The money that I make now, I kid you not, y'all, I was making $50 every other week when I first started as a graphic designer making Snapchat templates. You cannot get me to do that now, but I had to get to where I get to by just putting myself out there. When I see my work from back in the day, I cringe. I told one of my clients, I'm like, I know I did your rebrand, girl, like 3 years ago. We got to change it again because I got better. You're always going to get better. You're always going to get better. So don't see it as, oh my God, I need to keep this and I'm going to make the wrong move if I don't do this or I don't do that. That's going to keep you frozen. It's going to keep you stuck. Remember, be resourceful even if you don't have resources. But yeah.
I love that advice. And I think when you're looking at big brands and even at your competitors, you don't know what's behind the curtain. You don't know if every tactic they've decided on is working. So to always be chasing or copying others, it's not about, all of a sudden it's about everybody else and not about you.
So I'm going to also recommend this book, guys. Just because I am a self-love aficionado, I love self-love. This book has changed my life, like to the point where it's asking me questions like, who made you feel guilty? Who made you feel shameful? You need to get to the nitty-gritty first before you even thinking about becoming a millionaire, billionaire, whatever it is that you want, because there's stuff that's going to be holding you down to bring in what you really need and want. You got to get that stuff out in order to call that good stuff in.
So
the
true.
book, shadow work. Yes, shadow work, girl. Self-love, sacral chakra energy. I know that's right. The gift of self-love. And it actually was created by, I want to say she was a fitness influencer. Her name is Mary Jelkovsky. I think her name on Instagram was a cup full of Mary or something like that. Yep, already ordered it on Amazon. I know that's right.
Oh, amazing. Well, I don't think we could end on a higher note. So thank you so much, Brittany. I mean, the chat is on fire right now. We've all learned so much from you beyond design, just in life and outlook.
Happy. I just wanted to bring my best. I'm like, I want to try to thrive. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for you guys. Please keep in touch with me on social media. If I do not respond, that just means I'm stressed out. That's all that means. I don't think I'm better than it. Just means I'm stressed out. Social media, sometimes I could be like between Slack, between email, between ClickUp, between Asana. I can't take it no more. Something has to give.
Remind everyone again. So what should they follow you on, and what's your website?
Follow my personal Instagram at She's That Brit. I can actually share the screen once again so you guys can see. My Instagram is She's That Brit. That's more of like style tips. I think I'm a comedian somewhat. So that's my personal account. Then the agency, if you want to follow our work, portfolio, stay inspired, especially if you're building other brands, see the kind of brands that are being put out there already into the market. So you can follow me at theideagirl.co. And for more teaching, learning, courses, and all that good stuff on how to go from business to brand as an entrepreneur, design lessons, so on and so forth, follow the network, because we're dropping something really exciting really soon. And I cannot wait to share it with you all. Thank you so much, everyone, for allowing me into your space. Thank you for receiving me. Thank you for making me feel so loved. Thank you for hearing me. And just thank you again for just sharing the time that you have with me today. And I hope this information is useful. I hope that you can apply it to your brand. And I'm just wishing everyone more success, love, everywhere, friendships, relationships. We not playing 2021. We gonna be